You are not the same person you were 5 years ago. And I don't mean that in the inspirational way. I mean that your brain, the actual physical structure of it, has been quietly, systematically changed. Without your permission, without a warning label, without you even noticing it was happening. Here's the part that should stop you cold. The people who built the apps you're using right now, they knew this would happen. They studied it, they engineered it, and they kept building anyway. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how social media has rewired your brain, what it's already done to your attention span, your emotions, your relationships, and your ability to feel genuine happiness. And I'm going to show you the science behind all of it, not to scare you, but because understanding what's happening to you is the first step to taking your mind back. Part 1. Your brain before social media. Let's start at the beginning. Because to understand what social media has done to your brain, you first need to understand how your brain was designed to work. Your brain runs on a reward system. It's ancient, millions of years old. It evolved to keep you alive. And the way it does that is simple. When you do something good for your survival, eating, connecting with other humans, discovering something new, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. That feeling? That little rush of, yes, this is good. That's dopamine. And your brain learns. It notices, hey, that thing gave me dopamine. Let's do more of that. For most of human history, that system worked beautifully. You hunted food, dopamine. You laughed with your family, dopamine. You learned a new skill, dopamine. The system was calibrated for a world where rewards took effort, where you had to work for the good feeling. And then, in the space of about 15 years, we handed the keys of that reward system to a group of Silicon Valley engineers. And everything changed. The dopamine hijack. Here's what social media figured out that no other technology before it had. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real social reward and a digital one. Think about that. When early humans bonded with their tribe, when someone acknowledged you, validated you, chose you, that registered as a survival win. Because in those days, being accepted by your group meant you lived. Being rejected meant you died. That ancient wiring is still in your brain right now, today. And every single time you post something and someone likes it, your brain fires dopamine. Every time you get a comment, every time someone shares your content, every time you see that little notification number tick up, your brain hits the same system that was designed to reward actual survival. But here's where it gets dangerous. Unlike real-world social rewards, digital ones are infinite. You can scroll forever. You can post again, you can check again, you can get another hit, and another, and another. Your brain was never built for infinite dopamine. It was built for scarcity. And when you flood a system designed for scarcity with endless stimulation, it breaks. The neuroplasticity problem. Now, here's the science that most people skip over when they talk about social media, and it's the part that explains everything. Your brain is neuroplastic. That means it physically changes based on how you use it. The neural pathways you use most become stronger. The ones you neglect get pruned away. Scientists call it use it or use it, and it applies to your brain the same way it applies to a muscle. For hundreds of thousands of years, the human brain strengthened pathways for things like deep focus, sustained attention, delayed gratification, face-to-face empathy, long-form thinking. And now, the average person picks up their phone 96 times a day, every 10 minutes. That means your brain is being trained, neurologically trained, to interrupt itself every 10 minutes. The neural pathway for switch tasks immediately is getting stronger every single day. The pathway for sit with one thing deeply is getting weaker. And the research backs this up hard. A 2019 study from the University of California found that just after 20 minutes on social media, people's ability to focus on a single task dropped measurably. Dr. Gloria Mark at UC Irvine found that the average office worker now takes 23 minutes to return to a task after an interruption. But in 2004, before smartphones were everywhere, that number was 2.5 minutes. Your brain is being rewired, not metaphorically, literally. Symptom 1. Your attention span is broken. Let me ask you something honest. When was the last time you read a full article without opening another tab, watched a movie without checking your phone, had a conversation where you were fully there, not half thinking about what you'd post about it later? If those things feel hard, if staying present feels like work, that's not a personal failure. That's a neurological consequence. Social media has systematically shortened the window of time your brain is willing to stay with anything. Here's why. Every time you switch from one post to the next, from the feed to a story, from a video to a comment, your brain gets a tiny spike of novelty dopamine, new thing, new stimulation, new reward. And your brain starts chasing that novelty because it's been trained to expect it. Long-form content, deep conversation, books, films, these things require your brain to sit in discomfort before the reward comes. They require patience. And your brain, now trained by infinite scroll, is losing that patience at a measurable rate. Microsoft's research team found that the average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds in 2015. That's less than a goldfish. But here's what they don't tell you. Attention isn't just about focus. Attention is how you experience life. The richness of your life is directly proportional to how much of it you can actually be present for. When your attention is fragmented, you're not just less productive. You're experiencing less of your own existence. Symptom 2. You feel worse about yourself and you don't know why. Here's one that might hit close to home. You open Instagram. You're having a perfectly fine day. 20 minutes later, you close the app and you feel worse. You can't name exactly why. Nothing bad happened. Nobody said anything to you. But there's this low-grade feeling in your chest, a kind of quiet dissatisfaction with your own life. This is not a coincidence, and it's not weakness. It's social comparison theory, and social media has turned it into a weapon. Social comparison is another ancient brain function. Our ancestors looked at the people around them, who has more food, who has a better shelter, who is higher status, to figure out where they stood. That information was useful for survival. It helped you understand your position in the group. But the problem is, your brain was designed to compare you to the 50 or so people in your immediate tribe, not to 500 million curated highlight reels from people all over the world. Every time you scroll, your brain is running social comparison calculations. Is my body like that? Is my relationship as happy? Is my life as interesting? Am I as successful? And the math always works out the same way, because the feed is designed to show you the best, most photogenic, most aspirational version of everyone else's life. Your brain compares your full, messy, complicated reality to everyone else's carefully edited fantasy, and it loses every time. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that students who limited social media to 30 minutes per day saw significant decreases in depression and loneliness within just 3 weeks. The comparison engine is running in your brain constantly, and social media feeds it 24 hours a day. Symptom 3. Your emotions are off. Let me tell you what's happening to your emotional regulation, because this one is quietly destroying people and almost nobody is talking about it. When you feel an uncomfortable emotion, anxiety, boredom, sadness, loneliness, what do? Be honest. You pick up your phone. And here's why that's a problem that goes far beyond just wasted time. When you feel an emotion, you sit with it, process it, move through it. That's how your nervous system was built. You feel something, you sit with it, your brain processes it, and eventually you metabolize it. It passes. You learn from it. You grow. But the moment you reach for your phone when an uncomfortable feeling shows up, you interrupt that process. You don't process the emotion, you suppress it. You cover it with stimulation. And suppressed emotions don't disappear, they compound. People who use social media as an emotional escape develop what psychologists call emotional avoidance patterns. Over time, your window of tolerance, your ability to sit with discomfort, shrinks. Things that used to feel manageable start to feel unbearable. Boredom becomes intolerable. Because you haven't practiced tolerating discomfort, you've practiced escaping it. A 2021 study from Oxford University found a direct correlation between heavy social media use and emotional dysregulation, particularly in young adults. The more they used, the harder they found it to manage negative emotions without external stimulation. You are quite literally outsourcing your emotional regulation to an app, and every time you do that, you get slightly worse at regulating yourself. Act 3. This is by design.
Now, I need you to hear this part carefully, because everything I've described so far, the dopamine hijack, the attention collapse, the comparison spiral, the emotional avoidance, these are not side effects. These are not unfortunate accidents. These are features. In 2017, Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook, sat down for an interview and said something that should have made front-page news around the world. He said, "How do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? And that means that we need to give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post. It's a social validation feedback loop, exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like me would come up with because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology." He said that, the founding president of Facebook, exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. And he wasn't the only one. Chamath Palihapitiya, another early Facebook executive, said, "The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works." These aren't conspiracy theories. These are confessions from the people who built the machine. The infinite scroll, invented by Ozzer Raskin in 2006, removes the natural stopping point. There's no end of the page, no friction, nothing to make you pause and decide whether to continue. Raskin himself later said he regrets inventing it. He calculated that infinite scroll wastes approximately 200,000 human hours every day. The notification system is engineered to fire at variable intervals, not every time, not never, but sometimes, because variable reward schedules produce the most compulsive behavior. That's not an accident. That's behavioral psychology straight from B.F. Skinner's laboratory, applied to 1 billion human beings. The like button, the autoplay feature, the algorithm that figures out what makes you angry enough to keep scrolling. Every single element of the product you hold in your hand was stress-tested, A/B tested, and optimized to maximize the time you spend on it. Not for your well-being, for their revenue.
The bigger picture. What else it's taking? I want to zoom out for a moment, because so far we've talked about individual effects, your attention, your emotions, your self-esteem, but there's a bigger picture here that's worth sitting with. What does it mean for a civilization when millions of people are simultaneously having their attention fragmented, their emotions dysregulated, and their capacity for deep thought eroded? We are living in the answer to that question right now. Political polarization has exploded, not because people suddenly became more extreme, but because the algorithm discovered that anger and outrage drive more engagement than nuance. So it feeds you content that makes you angrier, and it does the same to everyone you disagree with, until both sides live in completely different realities, algorithmically constructed, and they can't understand each other anymore. Loneliness has reached epidemic levels. The U.S. Surgeon General declared it a public health crisis in 2023. We are more connected than any humans who have ever lived, and more isolated than almost any humans in recorded history, because connection on a screen is not connection. The brain knows the difference, even when we pretend we don't. Reading comprehension is declining. Long-form thinking is declining. The ability to hold and examine a complex idea, that requires an attention span. And attention spans are shrinking. And we are doing this to ourselves. We are holding the tool that is reshaping our minds voluntarily 96 times a day. That's not a criticism. That's just a fact. And facts can be changed. Act 4. Taking your brain back. Okay, here's where we turn the corner. Because here's the thing about neuroplasticity that is actually good news. It works both ways. Your brain changed because of how you used it, which means your brain can change again. With intentional practice, the neural pathways that social media has strengthened can weaken, and the ones that have weakened, for focus, for patience, for deep presence, can be rebuilt. This isn't motivational fluff. This is neuroscience. Step 1. Create friction. The reason social media is so addictive is that it's frictionless. It's right there, no effort required. The first step to breaking a compulsive pattern isn't willpower, it's engineering. Make the thing harder to reach. Delete the apps from your home screen. Log out each time you use them. Put your phone in another room when you sleep. Set a phone box by your front door. These small physical barriers work.
Not because you're weak, but because your brain is constantly choosing the path of least resistance. Step 2. Replace, don't just remove. The impulse that drives you to your phone isn't evil. It's just looking for stimulation, connection, or escape from discomfort. If you just try to white-knuckle it away without giving your brain something else, you'll fail. When the urge hits, go for a 5-minute walk. Call someone. Write one sentence about how you're feeling. Do one set of push-ups. Give your brain a pattern interrupt that doesn't feed the addiction. Step 3. Rebuild your attention span deliberately. This is the skill most people have let atrophy without realizing it. And, like any skill, you build it through practice. Start small. Pick one thing, a book, a podcast, a project, and commit to 20 minutes of single tasking. No phone near you, no tabs open, just the one thing. It will feel deeply uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is the sensation of your attention muscle working. Lean into it. Increase by 5 minutes every week. Within a month, you'll notice the difference. Within 3 months, deep focus will feel normal again because your brain is changing back in the direction you want it to go. Step 4. Audit your inputs. Not all social media is equal. There's a difference between passive scrolling, which is the most neurologically damaging, and intentional consumption. If you're using social media to actively create, genuinely connect with specific people, or learn specific things, the impact is significantly less harmful. The variable is intentionality. Before you open an app, ask, what am I going in for? Have an answer, then go get that thing, then leave. Step 5. Practice boredom. This sounds ridiculous, but it is one of the most powerful things you can do for your brain. Boredom is not a problem to be solved. It is a neurological state where your brain processes experiences, consolidates memories, generates creative ideas, and regulates emotion. It is, in short, essential, and we have almost completely eliminated it from our lives. Next time you're in a waiting room, in an elevator, in a queue, resist the phone. Just be there. Let your brain wander. It will feel uncomfortable. Do it anyway. You are rebuilding the capacity for presence, and presence is the foundation of a good life. The real question. I want to leave you with something to think about. There's a version of your life where you are fully present for it, where your attention is yours to direct, to focus, to give to the things and people that actually matter, where you feel your emotions instead of numbing them, where you can sit with a hard thought long enough to actually understand it, where your self-worth isn't contingent on how many people double-tapped a photo. That version of your life is not some idealized fantasy. It is neurologically possible. Your brain was designed for it. It is what your brain defaults to when you stop feeding it something else. The technology is not going away. That's not the point. The point is who's in charge. Is the algorithm driving your attention, or are you? Is the notification deciding when you look up, or are you? You are not your phone. You are not your feed. You are not your dopamine system. You are the awareness behind all of it. And awareness is where your power lives. The question is, are you ready to use it?
If this video gave you something to think about, a new way of seeing what's been happening in your brain, do me a favor and share it with one person who needs to hear it. Not for the algorithm, for them. On this channel, we go deep into the psychology of why you do what you do, why you feel what you feel, and how to actually understand yourself. Not surface-level tips, the real science, the real explanations, every week. If that's what you're looking for, subscribe, hit the bell, because the next video we're releasing is going to make this one look like the warm-up. I'll see you there.